Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the video. My name is Ariel, and today we are going to be talking about The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Now, everything that is said in this video is my own opinion, so if you like it, give it a like down below, subscribe, help my channel grow, and if you have already, thank you. I appreciate it. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue follows Addie LaRue, a young woman who was born in 1691 in a very small French village. Now, in Addie's timeline, when she was born, women were raised to be mothers and housewives, and she didn't like that option. She didn't want that. She was adventurous and artistic, and she wanted something more. So eventually she ends up making a deal with the wrong... Bless you. She ends up making a deal with the wrong god. In that deal, she ends up losing everything that makes her her. She can't leave a mark. She can't make a mark. She can't even say her name. And all of that to gain freedom from her parents and any sort of responsibilities that she didn't want. But Addie is determined, and I mean determined, to live her life to the fullest, to the best of her ability, and make a mark any way she can. Now, this book kind of plays on what a muse is, because how she makes her mark is leaving ideas, planting ideas in people's heads, often artists. So there are a few pieces of art that are spoken about in the book that she is directly connected with, which I think is so cool, so perfect. So in this long life, she has a very toxic relationship with this gift, you could call it, which it is a gift and a curse at the same time, that he has bestowed upon her. Their relationship is one of the most toxic relationships that Addie will ever have in the life that we know of while we read. And they see each other not every anniversary of her curse or gift receiving, but he's always with her, whether she likes it or not, or even knows it or not. Addie goes through life and she lives century after century after century. She sees civilizations rise and fall, and wars start and finish, and she is a part of it all without even people even remembering her being there. Now, this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but not much. There is a boy, well, I guess he was a very young man, that she meets in the sort of beginning of the book, and then later on she sees him, and he's like older than her father was when she left, and it was like, wow, holy shit, you look the exact same, and you are the exact same on the outside, but he has changed so much. And I thought, wow, that would be a freaking trip to see that if you were living that life and you saw that. So a few hundred years after she is cursed / gifted eternal life but never being able to be remembered, she meets a man in his late 20s who can remember her, and her whole being was like, what? How? So she kind of freaks out a little bit, which, wouldn't you? So let's talk about how I felt about the book. I freaking loved it. It was great. If I could have given it 10 stars instead of 5 on Goodreads, I 100% would. I do think this is probably my second favorite book of the year, and man, I didn't want to put it down. If I didn't have to work for a living, I don't think I would have. It was really cool to see Addie live through and be a part of what we now know is history. I believe this book is considered historical fiction or urban fiction. It reads that way. The book is extremely well written and well thought out. There's the art in it, like I can picture. You also get to see people who were famous throughout history, and some of them may have made deals. Maybe they didn't. But did they? You'll have to read it to find out. So Addie becomes essentially a muse for some of these artists that she meets in her life, and they may not remember her, but they remember the idea of her, or maybe she had something she wanted to get out, so she kind of like helped them along a little bit to get them to where they needed to be. But obviously they wouldn't be they wouldn't remember her, and she wouldn't be remembered for these things. But there it is, and she can go back later and be like, oh yeah, that was me, that was me and that other guy, or that other girl, that was that was cool. Another thing that I think is really cool is that she's lived a really long time. So the idea of being straight or gay is just kind of non-existent. She feels for a person and not for a gender, which I think was perfectly written into this book the way it was. And I wish we could have explored a little bit of her with a woman more than a man, because I felt like after all that time maybe she would have sort of had more relationships with women, but we see her have more relationships with men. That's just my opinion. I also really liked how V.E. Schwab's perspective on not just Addie being the lover of the arts, the muse, the one who wants to make her mark, but Luke, or the darkness, or the god, or the devil, or whatever you want to call him, he also supported the arts in a not necessarily great way, but he did support them. And then you also have our other character who Addie meets and who can remember her, named Henry, who he himself is kind of an artist, and but he's also kind of lost. So his views in the book that you actually get to read from his perspective are extremely well done, and the way they layer together is honestly perfect. One thing that really got me was, I mean, Addie can't be remembered, right? But Addie has to work and figure out a way to leave her mark on the world and in history to try to be remembered somehow, even if it's just something that she can see herself, like something done by an artist that she was the muse for, which a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people want to be remembered for something. Now, this book has a lot of beautiful imagery, and the writing style is so thick and beautiful, and I find that writing style to be very romantic. I don't think this book was a romance. I finished the book on Goodreads. I kind of flipped through to see what some other people thought, and there were people like, I thought this was supposed to be a romance novel. What happened? And I'm like, that was not a romance novel. I don't think that was supposed to be a romance novel. I don't know what you read, because no. There is a quote at the back of the book that reads, "A life no one will remember, a story you will never forget." And I think that sums it up. So I hope you read this book. I really want you to read this book. If you did read it already, leave a comment and tell me how you felt about it. And if you are going to read it, keep me in the loop about how you felt about it. I really want you to read it and enjoy it. I hope you have a good day. Bye.